Yes. So, hello everyone. Good evening. My name is Prasenjit Ghosh, and I am from Droy Foundation, and I will be your anchor for today's session. So now let me introduce you to our honorable speaker, who will be talking about physical juvenile diabetes and the various effects on juvenile diabetes, like how it affect, what are the problem, and how to care during the situation. And please welcome our honorable speaker and guest, Mr. Murali Krishnan. He is a founder and director at Spandhan Life Skill Enhancement Center at Chennai. And he is also a principal and faculty of Occupational Therapist Association. He is associated with organizations like AIOTA, IFNR, ATNI, and TNAIOTA. Also a researcher and academician. So he had achieved a lot in his life. I hope we will learn something valuable today from him. So now I will request you, sir, to say some words on today's topic and enlighten us with your knowledge. Over to you, sir.
Hi. Thank you, Prasangit, for the wonderful introduction. No, today's topic is something which is a bit strange for all of us, or many of us, for that matter. Only people who have it, who have gone through it, would probably know the importance of knowing about juvenile diabetes. Otherwise, it's like none of my problem, not my problem, so I don't care. That would be the attitude for everybody in most of the cases. But I remember, I was working with a school, a regular school where it's basically an inclusive school. There was this child, one bubbly kid, and every day there will be the mother standing in the quadrangle, and there needs to be a special permission for the mother to come in. And every 2 hours once the mother will come in during the break times and administer the injection and go. Nobody usually talks to her or cares for her. The child is like silently goes, does the work, and comes out. Only when we are interacting, the child interacts well. Otherwise, all the physical activities are restricted for the little girl, and she would be like quiet in the classroom, performing better in the academics. But when it comes to sports and other activities, she was always a little off. Uh, that's because as parents they didn't know how to put her into physical activity or how to make her active in the school. And as a school, as teachers and professionals with her, we also didn't know that time how effectively we can make her engage in the physical activities. So our awareness and our knowing things will make us better to help everybody in this world to reach, especially the children with juvenile diabetes.
Thank you, sir. So now let's begin with some question from our topic. Sir, first I would like to, how does physically diabetes actually affect the juvenile?
Okay. Uh, as you know, in the introduction itself, we spoke about the kids with juvenile diabetes they go through high level of sugar in the blood, and then low level of sugar in the blood in a fraction of minutes. And nobody can predict it, nobody can track it unless until we have an effective tracking system. We will definitely discuss about how we are going to track it, how we can effectively use this scheduling method, what we can learn. But the diabetes in general affects the children the same way it affects the adults. When you are low in blood, automatically what happens is you're not going to be performing in the physical activity. You're going to be a little dull. You want to sit down and then you want to sit quiet. At the same time, imagine just sitting quiet and sitting not moving much is again having a secondary effect on them. Where if you are not active, that means not much of a blood is going through your body, not to your brain. So there is a chance of this juvenile diabetes definitely making you weaker when it comes to physical, because the muscles are not going to get enough of oxygen, enough of blood supply to them. So muscles are going to get weaker, and then if the blood levels are not going to go to the amount of blood not going to the brain, because less physical activity. Don't think diabetes directly causes this effect, but because of low sugar, we keep low active profile, and then that affects blood supply to the particular body, bone, or muscles. So everything gets a little weaker. We tend to avoid everything. Once we are, once we feel we are weaker, we again keep ourselves not doing things. That's what it happens. And in some cases, some researchers also prove there is a chance that juvenile diabetes also affect the nerves, the layers of the nerves. There is a myelin sheath, which is called like on the onion, you see a small skin, very thin, very fiber kind of a thin. Something like that is on every nerve and every blood vessel. On the nerve, it is called a myelin sheath. That the quality or the strength of that myelin sheath, which is a protector of nerves, is also compromised in case of juvenile diabetes over a period of time. This is what some of the researchers are showing. The researchers are still going on finding out more about it. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. And next question is, why are the kids are facing diabetes in modern time, and how can they actually avoid it? Yeah, lower the risk of diabetes, sir.
Right. See, there are variable reasons. There are multiple reasons behind it. Sometimes what
Yes, sir.
happens is it's the uh, blood glucose or insulin sensitivity of individual person differs, and sometimes it's like, it's like a lottery system. Some kid just gets it that they have the uh, low sensitivity to insulin or a high sensitivity to insulin. So juvenile diabetes occurs. And sometimes, very rarely, sometimes what happens is both the parents are diabetic, and then there is a higher chance of the child getting juvenile diabetes happens. Um, and as we say, juvenile diabetes doesn't happen because of the food habits or the lifestyle habits of the child. It definitely happens because your biology, your system is not cooperating you for the well. But your lifestyle and your way of living, your food habits or your exercise regimen can definitely slow down or take away the harsh impacts of juvenile diabetes on the kids. This can easily work out very well for us.
Yes, sir. Uh, Next question is, sir, what are the warning signs of physical juvenile diabetes?
We saw this before. The physical juvenile diabetes is you see a child sitting low, sitting dull. Uh, Usually, the children are a little on the sleepy side. They would prefer sitting quiet, not moving much. But at the same time, when there is a low sensitivity insulin level, the children who have done uh, sprinting exercises, physically demanding exercises, uh, there will be a high insulin, there will be pumped up hyper. After an hour, you see them sitting down and then, like, very low, lying down, trying to drag their own body and then come up to it. But 1 hour before, they were very active. This is the funny thing about juvenile diabetes is not every time the diabetes level, the sugar level in the body goes down. Sometimes the sugar level is hyper as well, higher as well. So it's a little tricky to find out, but over a period of time, if it happens continuously, we will know it. But this is also something which we need to be very careful, because when there is low sugar level, there is a high threat of either we going to hypothermic shock, um, uh, and then that would probably put the lives of our children into danger. So warning signs as such to look out for is children who are all the time dull, a little sleepy. When you give them physical activity, they get easily tired, and initial too much hyper in the beginning, and then suddenly they go to too low in their physical workout. That aspect we have to be very watchful of.
Yes, sir. Uh, Next question is, sir, how does diabetes affect a child's physical development, sir?
So these are all interrelated. The physical development as such, every milestone, has a time period. Like 2.5, 3 months, your head should stand, head should hold, and by 12 months, you should be able to stand on your own without support. By 1.5 years, you should be able to, like walk without support, like that. In these early ages, may not the juvenile diabetes may not have any effect on the kids, but when they are 5 year old, 6 years old, that is when the juvenile diabetes shows more effect on their physical development. What is the physical development during that time is they should be running, they should be jumping, they should be doing sprinting and doing sports days in the classrooms. That affects. Imagine a child not running, not jumping, not playing football or pakda pakdi, like chasing each other. All these games, obviously what happens is like that leaves the child out of that group games, team games. They only get to play individual games where it is a toned level of game. But identify what sort of physical games a child with juvenile diabetes or a type 1 diabetes can play or should play and should avoid this kind of games will give us a better idea, because this is very important. We want all our kids to play, and we want all our kids to have a proper development physically. So making them uh, making them participate in the school activities, because this we are in a era of inclusion. We are in an era of inclusive society and accommodative society where everybody gets to do everything in this world. So because you have a physical limitation at that point of time, it doesn't mean the child should not participate in a team game or a physically demanding game. But we should know how to get that kid going into that team, going into that physically demanding activity. We will come to it probably in the end of the session.
Yes, sir. Uh, sir, which type of beverages would you suggest to juvenile if they are suffering from diabetes, sir?
Right. Uh, See, beverage wise, I don't think we need to restrict them in anything. They can have anything and everything, but the thing is, um, to keep them active, to keep them away from a little dangerous situations, we should avoid high high sugar content drinks as well as sugarless content drinks. There should be a balance. There should always be a balance. But what I would also suggest is when the child is going to school or when the child is going into a play or a game, always carry both um, uh, sugarless drink as well as a sugar aerated drink. Usually, a normal soda is good enough. Normal soda or diet soda is good enough. A regular, sugar drink is good enough. Honey and tea is good enough. Honey and tea is a very good drink for the kids. But obviously nowadays, we are all into packaged drinks. I would say in general, not just for kids with diabetes, for everybody, avoid aerated packaged drinks. Uh, Honey and tea is a very good drink, but if you are not able to give, what they need to carry is something which you could give them high sugar immediately, and something which they can only drink, but there is no sugar in it. Both the drink has to be available there. Both the drink is without sugar is obviously water, yes, but any juice without sugar is also good. But how should you drink, how the child should drink is very important. They shouldn't drink like gulping, how we drink. I'm thirsty, so I drink half a bottle or a one glass. They should be sipping the liquid, sipping the fluid or sipping the juice, one sip at a time. So it regulates the insulin level in the body. It doesn't let you, you know, get too much sugar in the blood level. That is very important. Sipping and drinking has to be a mandatory thing which needs to be taught to our kids.
Yes, sir. So, what is the average life expectancy for someone who is suffering from juvenile diabetes, sir?
Okay, this I don't think we even need to think about, because as such, for everyone, everybody has limitations in their life cycles. But with the juvenile diabetes, doesn't actually affect the life expectancy of our kids. That doesn't
Yes.
play because of that issue. But at the same time, the complications because of juvenile diabetes might play definitely an important role. Like if we don't take care of the juvenile diabetes, if we don't know how to manage our insulin levels, jumping from low sensitivity to high sensitivity, or low blood sugar to high blood sugar in a very short period of time, uh, that will put us in danger. This is common for juvenile as well as adults. So we need to monitor the insulin levels in the blood, blood sugar levels in the blood. That would keep us active and alive. If we are not able to track that, or if you are not able to maintain that properly, then there comes the danger. So, as such, the juvenile diabetes doesn't give you any life risk, but the lifestyle or the complications because of that might probably give us.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Uh, yes, sir. What is the role of insulin in this type of diabetes, sir?
uh, the role of insulin is very important, because when the body has, in the early stages itself, doesn't regulate the insulin levels properly. At least for the people who have over the age got into the diabetes, their body had known how the insulin uh, how the insulin works and how we have to accommodate. So body has some memory of its own to regulate it or give you some time. But with kids, the sensitivity of the insulin is not registered with the body itself, your metabolism itself. So regulating it for the body is very important. For this, you wouldn't. This is very unpredictable. Okay, so you have to have backup insulin patches or backup insulin vials with you, or injections with you, and always have one extra as well. Have a prescriptions with you. Sorry, not the prescription. We call this as a insulin planner, where and when and how you should give or administer this. Especially when it comes to kids, they go to school, they go to playground, they go to sports. So all the people who are involved with the kids, the teacher, the physical education trainer, the sports coach, they all should know that this child has juvenile diabetes, and how should I help her when needed. It's not that parent is all the time there with the child, and we should also uh, give the space and time for the parent and for the child. No, we can't keep them both together all the time. I understand the bonding in Indian community is a little different, that we want to protect our own kid by any cost. But at the same time, giving them their space, taking our own time and space is also very important. um, have the plan checked, write it down, discuss with your diabetologist, discuss with your physical education trainer, as well as the therapist. They be the important team and play a very important role in making sure the child doesn't go into either side of the insulin dependency. So always pack one box with small glucose capsule, so that like a chocolate, if needed, they can chew on it. At the same time, um, low sugar or non-sugar chocolates, where if they are hyper, they can chew on it. Insulin patches will work out. Injections will work out. Each child might have a different dosage of insulin, different intervals of insulin. Um, so have that in mind and administer. And sometimes to keep a emergency contact, to know that, okay, what should I do? It's not like, oh, your child has fallen down, come and pick up your child and go. That's not the emergency. This is like, uh, he has fallen down or she has fallen down. uh, uh, Apparently there is a diabetic attack. What should I do? Guide me through it. That should be the question. And for that question, somebody should be ready somewhere to answer at any point of time. There should be at least two emergency contact numbers, either with the diabetologist or with the parent for that matter.
Yes, sir. And this is my last question, sir. How can one prevent a control on this type of diabetes? Please suggest us, sir, some key point and enlighten us, sir.
Prevent, I'm not sure. Juvenile diabetes prevention, I'm not sure how we can prevent it. But how we can control it, how we can moderate it is, as we discussed, have the plan ready, provide the children with, the kit, the insulin kit ready in their bag all the time. Any eatables, any sugarated drink, and uh, non-diabetic sugar added, pills added drink. These things are ready all the time for them. But again, this topic as such is about physical activity. We were talking about how we are going to involve physical activities. There is no restriction. There is no one calling in for a restriction in the physical activity. For that, we should know what is the effect or benefit of doing a physical activity for the children with the diabetes. See, um, the foremost or the very important problem with our children itself is the sensitivity of the insulin in our blood. By doing regular exercise, by doing exercise in a prescribed, in a formatted way, what happens? Our insulin sensitivity improves. Insulin sensitivity improves means what? There is less insulin required for me to be administered on my body every now and then. So the amount of insulin I take to regulate myself reduces. My body understands the sensitivity or the level of insulin in my body. So it I think, this would probably become like a prevention. I take less of insulin, so this prevents me from going into insulin dependency, and this exercise keeps me healthier and happier. When I keep working out, when I keep doing exercises, I need less insulin to regulate myself. That is what the ultimate goal of us, right? To take them out of it or to give less insulin in their body so that they can work out better. But one thing we have to be very aware is when and how and what amount of exercises are prescribed. Usually, it is the mornings and early part of the day, before probably 10 or before that is a good time. Before breakfast or early mornings, so not early morning, the early part of the day are good for doing exercises for children with juvenile diabetes, just to avoid going into hypoglycemic situation where blood levels in the blood goes very low. So if you want to do exercises, this morning exercise is very good. At the same time, what kind of exercises are good for juvenile diabetes? Anything which is powerful, which is strong, which is short term, like sprinting, heavy lifting, running around. These exercises are to be very carefully avoided. But there are exercises which are like endurance building, stamina building, like long duration, slow repetitions, slow counted, paced out exercises are fantastic for our kids. Direct example is swimming. The whole body works out, but you're in a very slow pace, you're in on your own pace. And our children are good candidates for long distance running, but they are not good candidates for a short sprints. So we should avoid short sprint, and we should promote or we should train them in long distance, slow paced running. Because when you do slow paced run, you're in a rhythm. You're going in the same pattern. When you're doing faster, what happens is you burn more calories and then you burn more sugar in the body. What happens after sprinting or immediate thing is you go into hyper mode. hyperglycemia, too much of sugar in the blood, and then after 1 hour, suddenly everything drops, which is very dangerous. What we are trying to do is we are trying to regulate it. There is always a pattern in it, where there is always a not much of a jump in the levels of insulin requirement or in the blood in sugar. Sorry, sugar in blood. Sorry about that.
Yes, sir. Dear sir, now I will request you to announce the winner's name of e-quiz that held yesterday on physiology juvenile diabetes. Sorry, sir. Yesterday on psychology juvenile diabetes, sir. I have sent the name on your WhatsApp, sir.
Yes, I have the names. Uh,
Start, please, sir. Start with the third winner.
I will definitely. Okay, the third prize goes to Nishit Parmar, and congratulations, Nishit. And then the second prize goes to Tanushri Datta, and the first one goes to, I don't see them here in the meeting, so I don't know. Uh, Fantastic. That is Nishit Parmar. Congratulations, Nishit. And I see Anbu sir's face there as well.
Yes, sir. Amgo sir was the guest speaker for yesterday's session.
Oh, fantastic. Tanushri Datta has the second prize, and the first prize goes to Sakshi Surve.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, Sakshi, and congratulations all three of you for doing wonderful.
Thank you, sir. And now I am really grateful and thankful to you, sir, for this great session. We will appreciate your great work. Definitely, it will help us to create a social awareness regarding physical juvenile diabetes. And also, I would like to thank my TL for having me such an important topic and continuously motivating me for today's session. Thank you, Animesh Patil. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Dorai Foundation and Sumitra ma'am for a wonderful opportunity, and Prasanjit and Animesh. Thank you so much for nicely coordinating with me. Thank you guys, and thank you all the listeners.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank
you
you
so
so
much
much for
for
joining with us,
participating.
sir.
Thank you,